Congratulations on winning this prestigious award.
Thank you. I'm thrilled. I'm over the moon. I just want to, as soon as I get a minute, then I can actually email the company and tell them.
Oh my gosh, you haven't had the chance yet.
I haven't had the chance yet.
I love that they actually keep you in suspense. That they bring everyone here, not telling anyone who won. It's really, it's fun.
Oh, it's utterly cruel and nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it's true. I don't like looking at the ones that came here hoping and then they walk out. But I mean, for me, it's really, I think, like the Academy Awards of clean tech. It's like, it's the big deal.
No, it is a big deal, and we were here with our friends at Green Lake Planet, who are unbelievable.
Yeah.
And frankly, have reached far more people than we have, and so they were deserving in so many ways of this prize.
That category, I think, is the hardest. Every time, I don't know, it's really hard. There's so many small organizations, small companies doing great stuff. It's really hard to compete. So it's, again, a big testament to what you're doing. So you're in Tanzania and Rwanda. What are some countries you think you'll enter in the future?
There's so many that need the service, right? So there's almost every country in East Africa. So think of Uganda, Kenya, and almost East Africa extended, which I would think of Zambia and Malawi being that category, Mozambique and a few others. And then West Africa is an enormous opportunity as well for mass market solar. Most of the innovators have started in East Africa, but West Africa is going to get very, very interesting.
But you think you would build out from there rather than jump across the ocean or something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
You're installing over 10,000 solar power systems in homes and businesses per month, according to what I read. What's your medium and long-term goals for monthly installations?
That's a great question. Our vision as a company when we set out to do this is to light Africa in a decade. So for us, that means 10 million homes. We figure if we can get to 10 million homes, then a market's been created that will serve far more than that and reach the majority of the continent. And so I think what everybody's doing now is including us to some degree, is reaching the lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Customers in stable countries who have good ability to pay, but this is going to spread far, far beyond that. There are huge countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo that are poorly served at this point that won't be in the future.
So you sort of have a random number, 10 million rather than like 7.53 million. And you're just basically going to get there as fast as you can, yeah?
That's the sprint. My previous company was in a completely different business, selling books on the internet, but we got to 10 million customers in 10 years. And so I think it's a number that's doable for a company if it sets its mind to it and builds the business to scale up to that.
So DBL Partners and SolarCity are some of your funders. This quite the company. How did you get connected with them? What was the process like with them?
That's a great question. We first got introduced to the SolarCity team actually through a pair of Kiwis. So a guy from New Zealand is seed investor in our company and a huge supporter of us. He was at the America's Cup and started talking to a Kiwi who worked at SolarCity. And the guy said, "Oh, that sounds really interesting what you guys are doing. I bet Pete and Lyndon would like that." And so we had a conversation with Pete and Lyndon a few weeks later and told them what we were doing. And the amazing thing is that Lyndon had a very personal experience with kerosene. There was a nanny who lived at their house, and she had lost an infant in a fire, basically in their backyard, that was caused by a kerosene lamp toppling over and burning her house down.
It's crazy how many stories you hear about that. But that must have been exciting. You must have been a little nervous, like, wow, we're going to meet with Peter and Lyndon.
Yeah, and the great thing about Lyndon is he's an entrepreneur first, and so he really said, "Hey, I don't want to back you guys as SolarCity trying to tell your company what to do. In fact, we want to set it up so that SolarCity has no outsized voting influence or no control in any way. Cool. We want to teach you guys what we've learned and let you go try to solve this problem."
That's really cool. Sounds like a great experience. I'll jump through a few and get to one of the later ones then. So why leasing? Did you guys choose this leasing model partly because of their advice?
We'd been doing that from the very beginning. Our goal with this company is always, how do we make solar the default? How do we make it the option that everyone chooses and puts in their home? And what we came to, what's really going to drive the solar leapfrog in Africa as we see it, is when everyone can pay for solar out of savings or out of income. If there's money they don't have to spend on paying someone to charge their phone, money they don't have to spend on kerosene for lighting, or income they can generate from very simple businesses. Cutting people's hair from the solar system can be an incredible source of revenue for a small business.
There's so much potential there. I mean, we've even seen in the U.S. how effective that model is for attracting people. And why a for-profit company? Why not a nonprofit? Because we see nonprofits and small businesses doing the same, basically trying to achieve the same goals, but in different ways. So I'm curious why you went with the for-profit angle.
To solve this problem, to really solve just the kerosene problem in Africa. I mean, there's something like $10 billion of jet fuel still burned for light every year. So we shouldn't fool ourselves in thinking this problem is solved because a few innovators have started to scale up. We need capital investment in the billions of dollars, and that's just not going to come through a nonprofit. I started a previous company called Better World Books that was one of the founding.
I was wondering if that was the company. I was like, Better World?
It was, a founding B corporation, and in other ways, one of the more leading companies in the kind of triple bottom line business world. And so I became very convinced that this was the way of the future, and that the investment community would start to get behind these kind of models.
Yeah, I saw Kimball Musk talk a bit about why he thinks for-profit companies with a social purpose are so important. Because there's just much more ability to scale up quickly, to grow fast, than with a lot of nonprofit models. So what triggered your decision to start Off-Grid Electric in the first place? Where did the idea come from?
I saw this market, and I thought this was going to be the ultimate triple bottom line problem to solve. The social and environmental and economic impacts are so massive of switching a continent from really the dirtiest fuels imaginable to solar.
And were you just sitting on the computer reading about the topic? How did it?
Well, I'd spent 8 years working on Better World Books, and had gotten a scholarship from the Skoll Foundation to go to Oxford for a year. So I had a year to sit at Oxford and meet interesting people and think about the world's big problems. And this was the one that I got very passionate about. And so I teamed up with a classmate of mine named Erica Mackey and a friend of mine named Joshua Pierce. And so the three of us said, okay, we're just going to move to Tanzania, and we're just going to start from scratch and try to figure this out.
I think we've covered that story a little bit already, but it's good to get on video. You're currently providing solar and LEDs. Are you planning to offer any other technologies in the future?
It's a great question. And I've just played with a really, really exciting technology that I'm thrilled with, which is a home computer. It's made by a group called Endless that's designed specifically for this market. So specifically to deal with low bandwidth, to deal with intermittent access to bandwidth, and it does things like downloads Khan Academy in the background and then caches local language Khan Academy videos. So it can be an educational tool, it can be a productivity tool, it can be an information tool. And I think we're going to see real excitement in the African middle class and lower middle class about getting online and about using these tools.
I noticed Copernic offers a wide range of products. They have electric bikes. I think during the ceremony I was thinking, what if they did a leasing model where they lease electric cars for the community, so the community shares an electric car that they pay for over time? I was like, that would be cool. I mean, that's a big challenge, but
we need an electric Land Rover. We need an electric Land Rover Defender.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for spending the time. You're doing wonderful stuff. We'll keep covering you, I'm sure, in the years to come.
Great. Thank you.